she feels nervous about a guy, if she feels confused about a guy, he's not the one. And it is that simple. It is that simple. But you do all these gymnastics, all these mental gymnastics to be like, oh, maybe he's this, maybe he's that. And then you end up trying to trick yourself into keeping him. It takes a lot of work in your mind, all these jumping jacks, to jumping all these cartwheels to keep him. And in the end, you end up paying the consequences. It's work here, and then it's more work later. If you just took everything at face value and you were like, oh, okay, wow, it's so obvious this person doesn't like me. Gotta go. Bye. Why would I stay with someone who doesn't like me? Would I ask them questions? Would I be like, hey, so I feel like you don't really like me. Hey, so I feel like I've asked you to, do this for me romantically, and it's been a month and that hasn't happened yet. When I started dating guys who are in their masculine energy, you feel so deep in your feminine energy. I swear, it's almost like you're like a child. You feel so childlike. You feel so free. You feel so safe. Like, I am a completely different woman with a guy who's in his masculine energy versus when I'm with a guy who I don't feel emotionally safe with. I'm constantly having to give him instructions. I become a mother. When I'm with a masculine guy, I become a child, like I'm so light. I am angelic because I feel so secure and supported in all the ways that you want to as a woman. And I think a lot of girls want to feel like this is their day-to-day, right? Who doesn't want to feel like an angel? You want to feel so nice, so kind, so loving, so gentle. And you have to realize, though, that's the woman that we all want to be, right? We want to all be so relaxed and safe and trusting. And again, that doesn't mean trust random people on the street. Don't be stupid. And, always have your own life. Your life should not become him. You should have your own life, right? You are a human first. A woman second, and then a wife and mother third. Okay, so you are a human first. Human beings are here to create, to experience, touch, taste, feel, all these things. Okay, you as a woman need to make sure that you are picking an environment that feels like absolute heaven. You will never be an angel if you are not very carefully grading the men that come into your life and saying, does this man, with being with this man, make me feel like I'm in heaven, emotional heaven, physical heaven? Are your sexual needs, is he taking the time to make sure you orgasm every single time? Do you know what I mean? Like all these things. And even a lot of women, still don't feel safe being sexually expressive. There's that whole phenomenon of the silent orgasm. Like women don't feel like they can be loud during an orgasm. That's also, feeling sexually, physically safe and feeling sexually expressive. So you really, really have to realize that, yes, this is the kind of woman I want to be in my life. I want to feel like an angel. I want to feel like softness. I want to feel like happiness, blissfulness. I want to feel like all of my creative energies are coming into me. Your energies aren't drained because your relationship is a second job, okay? There are some people who have a 9 to 5 and then they come home to a 5 to 9, okay? If that is how your relationship is making you feel, where you're giving instructions, it's a workload to be with this person, but you're staying because you're desperate for love, you have that image for social media, all these things. I feel like so much, I've stayed in so many situations because for the social media aspect of it. It's crazy. That dictated my life, okay? But you really, really need to evaluate the guys that come into your life and really sit with them and say, well, being with this guy feel like absolute heaven through and through. And if that's the case, that is where you will be able to be that angel. And when I tell you, you know you have hit that sweet spot when you are literally so playful, so light, and so trusting. It's not even just like safe, it's like supportive, it's all these things. And you know, just this idea of like the bad like keeps us engaging with these kind of passive men, with these men who have like this feminine energy. Please remember, angels only live in heaven, okay? So if you want to be an angel, you've got to make sure that you are saying, would I consider this absolute heaven? Is that how I can describe this guy? Okay, not, oh, he's a sweet person, oh, he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy, that is someone that you are going to, you have one life and you're going to spend time with. Oh, he's a nice guy. No. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. If that man does not feel like heaven through and through, forget it. Set him free, because you're not his dream girl and you are not going to be the woman that you want to be with him, right? Don't you want to be a happy, relaxed woman who knows that she's going to get flowers once a week, whether or not she remembers? He's going to remember because he's got it written on his little calendar, you know? Just like all these things, you know, all the little details. It really has to feel like heaven. But if you bring a man in because you're so desperate for a man and you're just like, okay, I'm just going to mold him into everything I want, you're not going to be an angel. You're going to be a mother. And if you want to adopt someone, please adopt a child who actually needs you. Please do not adopt a grown adult man. I've seen this happen too many times. Looking right at you. I'm looking right at you. You need to pick a relationship where you feel spiritually safe, emotionally safe, sexually safe, physically safe, financially safe. You need to pick all these things for you to be that angelic form of yourself. You want to feel like you're light. You want to feel like you're free. And the only reason you haven't experienced that is because you're willing to allow less than that. If you have made a definite decision that you will not allow anything less than that, it won't even come into your life. Like the chill guys, the regular guys, don't even hit on me. They don't even come at me because the way I carry myself, and because you can just you know what energy, you know what thoughts are going through someone's head when you look at them, right? The universe knows that I have decided to not entertain anything less than heaven. And let me tell you, it has been responding accordingly. Okay? So trust me, please. And like, it's just so normalized in so many TV shows. Like even Carrie in Sex and the City, you know, she's so stressed and anxious the whole time she's with Big. In the middle of editing this video, and I was like, let me just add a few more things. I think it's so rampant in our culture of women sitting down and doing all these mental gymnastics of analyzing what the guy's actions in their life mean. So like Sex in the City, so much of that show is these very, very successful, driven women spending 2 to 3 hours a day sitting and putting all their creative energies into analyzing the men in their lives, you guys. And you only have a certain amount of energy that you can exert, okay? So if you're putting that all, just not even you're with the guy, you're analyzing everything and you're doing all these mental gymnastics trying to figure out what that means, what this means, and if he does really like you, you are draining yourself. You need to learn to take people at face value and also see someone for what they really, really are. You know that Drake lyric where he says, girl, you never needed him, you could birth like 4 of him? Yeah, if the guy you're dating, if the person you're dating, you're obsessed with them and all this creative energy is going into them and creating them into this person, really, really take a hard look at that person and think, could I birth someone like that? Could I raise a man like that? If you could, he's probably nothing mind-blowing, okay? And a lot of women make this mistake where they're dating from a lack mindset, where they meet one guy who checks most of their boxes and they're just latch onto him because they think, oh, there's no good guys in the world. We're all operating from this lack mindset, which is not true at all. Just make sure you see someone for what they really are. You should have clarity on what you're looking for. If you're looking for your soulmate and you have some confusion, you catch yourself doing all these mental gymnastics, that's probably not the person you want to spend your life with. Also, there isn't just one soulmate, okay? There you have hundreds, millions of soulmates, okay? So please do not latch on to one, okay? Really, really evaluate someone for what they are. Take your emotions out of it. That's why you have to have a checklist before going in, because if you start getting all emotionally involved, you might just throw your whole checklist out the door. You don't want to do that because that will come back to bite you later. Make sure all your needs are met and then emotionally open yourself to entertaining a future with the guy in front of you. But make sure those standards are met before you allow yourself to get emotionally involved. And that means physical standards, emotional standards. I'll only date guys who I can tell very obviously that they've spent time on their mental health, doing emotional work, financial health, whatever. Also, I feel like there's this thing where a lot of women are just like, oh no, looks don't matter. You guys, looks do matter. I don't know how deep this lack mindset goes, that all of women have just collectively decided, oh yeah, that looks don't matter. Or it's just some kind of insecurity where good looking guys will cheat on you or something. In my experience, good-looking guys are actually the most loyal, as long as they have high self-esteem. If they have low self-esteem and their sense of self comes from how many women want them, then yeah, but you can tell that very easily. Guys, looks do matter. You should feel physically attracted to the person you're with, and it should check all those boxes. I feel like I have a type, at least the phase I'm in right now, this is the type that I'm in, and I make sure all those boxes are checked, and that's so different from what my type was 2 years ago. So people evolve, people change, you experiment, and you figure out you like some things more than other things. But yeah, I just the lack mindset that's going on with women, where we're just oh my God, I will take anything that I can get at this point. If he's a nice guy, I'm just so excited. You guys, you're a nice girl, okay? Most people are nice. If you have a high self-esteem, you probably won't even let anyone in your life who isn't nice, okay? Your friends are nice. You don't date your friends, okay? So if that is the standard for the men that you are entertaining in your life, that's a very, very low standard. And it's all because of this lack mindset. It's all because we're always saying, oh, there's no good men left. All men are trash. It's not true. It's not true, okay? Please stop with the mental gymnastics. Take people for what they are at face value. How badly someone treats you is just a reflection of how stupid they think you are. If they're treating you badly, it's because they believe that they can get away with it, and show them that they can't. And as a woman, your power is in your silence. Even a reaction, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, anything feeds that other person. So if I am disappointed in how I've been treated, whether it's friends, whether it's romance, I am silent and I excuse myself, and you probably will never hear from me again. That's just the way I work. And obviously there are levels, right? There's some things where I'll be like, hey, I don't really like this, and I'll communicate that to you. And there are some things where my only response is silence and block and dip. So obviously read a room, but make sure you have high self-esteem. Make sure you are not emotionally involved, and or you're really able to see someone for what they are. And even if you get emotionally involved, right, 6 months later, you should still be able to see the reality of your situation. And that's when friends and family, people you love, people you trust, make sure you really trust them and you trust their opinions, because remember, don't take advice from someone you wouldn't trade lives with. Do they have an experience of healthy relationships? Are they emotionally equipped to give you advice? So you want to do all these things and make sure that your standards are being met before you get emotionally involved with someone, okay? And still, every few months you should take out the emotions and go through your checklist and say, is everything still up to par for me in my life? And if the answer is no, it's time for you to reevaluate. But please, no more gymnastics, because you're going to do a lot of work to paint a picture of someone when they really aren't that much. Like, I see a lot of women build up a very regular guy in their heads, and that takes a lot of work. It's really easy when you just see someone for who they are. It takes a lot of work to build someone up, and then when he does reveal who he really is, they're facing the consequences of the delusion that they were living in, and have to do all this emotional work and emotional healing. So really, really just say, I'm not going to do any work up here. I'll just let that person tell me who they are, and that's it. And if you like it, stay, and if you don't, leave. But no more creative energies going into, what does this mean? What does that mean? What does this mean? Oh, it's very obvious this person isn't someone I would want to have around long term, okay? He's not just choosing you, you're also choosing him. So grade him before you get involved. And that whole thing could have ended if she was just like, does this man feel like absolute heaven, safe, secure, and all my check boxes all around? No? Okay, never mind. Do not allow it to grow into that situation. You will know very quickly if he's the right one, as long as you are observant, as long as you are really, really grading him, and you have a checklist on your little phone, and you're making sure all those marks are being met, and you're also being very careful to watch his actions, you will find it, okay? You will know if he's the right one for you. But we see all this music, all these TV shows where it's so normal for women to feel nervous. It's so normal for women to feel anxious, to feel butterflies in their stomach. That is all normal. It's not. It's not. Those TV shows have convinced you that feeling unsure about the guy in your life, feeling anxious about the guy in your life is a normal thing that every woman is experiencing. No, never ever have had the slightest feeling of anxiety, have never had the slightest feeling of force with the guy in their life, because they simply won't allow it. If one day he wakes up and he is suddenly doing that, she'll bring up her concerns. If it's a long-term situation and he's never acted like that before, and if she see the shift in behavior within a week or two, she gets up and leaves. That doesn't exist in her world, okay? If she feels nervous about a guy, if she feels confused about a guy, he's not the one. And it is that simple. It is that simple. But you do all these gymnastics, all these mental gymnastics to be like, oh, maybe he's this, maybe he's that. And then you end up trying to trick yourself into keeping him. It takes a lot of work in your mind, all these jumping jacks, to jumping all these cartwheels to keep him, and in the end you end up paying the consequences. It's work here, and then it's more work later. If you just took everything at face value and you were like, oh, okay, wow, it's so obvious this person doesn't like me, gotta go, bye. Why would I stay with someone who doesn't like me? Would I ask them questions? Would I be like, hey, so I feel like you don't really like me. Hey, so I feel like I've asked you to do this for me romantically, and it's been a month and that hasn't happened yet. if that person doesn't even vibe, we're not on the same frequency, they would look at me and be like, oh my God. Those kind of guys would look at me and be like, oh my God, she looks like high maintenance. She looks like she would be so much work. The guys who I'm aligned with look at me and they're like, wow, she would be a perfect fit for my life. Okay? Okay. You're not supposed to feel anxious in life. You are really, really not supposed to feel anxious in your relationship. Butterflies are a bad sign. You want to feel like you're a cozy campfire, not butterflies. Okay? Okay. I love you so much. Please make sure you are trying to pick a man that feels like heaven. Do not pick a normal guy and try to shape him and mold him into a guy who will then feel like heaven for you. He should already be heaven right off the bat without you having to do any work. You should never be doing any of that work. You can communicate preferences. Don't shape, push, pull, force, and do all these things. Okay. Love you. Bye.